Everybody counts. Everybody is equal in the eyes of the Almighty. That's not the way the enemy thinks. They don't value innocent life. They're nothing but a bunch of cold-blooded killers, and that's the way we're going to treat them. They reach across oceans to target the innocent. They seek weapons of mass murder on a massive scale. The terrorists will not be stopped by mercy or by conscience, but they will be stopped. And they will be stopped by the will and the might of the United States of America. Our country is in a great contest of will and purpose. We're being tested. Times of crisis, we will act decisively. And in times of calm, we'll be focused and patient and relentless in our pursuit of the enemy. That's what we owe the American people. We're not waiting for another attack. We can't wait for another attack to employ the full power of America in this cause. We're acting now to protect the American people and to shape a future of peace. This war, like others, is not going to be one on the defensive. So we're going to take this fight to the enemy. And we're making good progress. We're making good progress. Working with our friends and allies, we have freed the people of Afghanistan from one of the most brutal regimes in the history of mankind. We enforced a clear doctrine that said if you harbor a terrorist, if you feed a terrorist, if you hide a terrorist, you're just as guilty as the terrorist, and the Taliban knows what we meant. We've destroyed camps where terrorists train. There used to be camps. The United States military showed up. There are not any camps in Afghanistan. We've emptied caves where they hid. See, they used to think they could hide. But you can't hide from the United States of America. You may hide for a brief period of time, but pretty soon we're going to put the spotlight on you. And we'll bring you to justice. We've cut off millions of dollars that the enemy was using to fund operations. We're working with friends and allies around the world, and we're hauling them in one by one. Some have met their fate by sudden justice. Some are now answering questions at Guantanamo Bay. In either case, they're no longer a problem to the United States of America and our friends. We do not yet have all the terrorists, but they're all on the run. And if they listen carefully, they will hear behind them the mighty footsteps of the United States of America. And we're not quitting. We'll fight this war on many fronts with many tools. Our intelligence operations are tracking the terrorists. We're sharing intelligence with other countries that share our desire for peace. Our allies are keeping the peace and helping us keep the peace in Afghanistan. We're hunting terrorists on every continent. See, they're in over 60 different countries. We've got a vast coalition of people bound by this principle. Either you're with us or you're with the enemy. Either you're with those who love freedom or you're with those who hate innocent life. Our coalition is strong, and we're keeping it strong. And we're on the hunt. We're chasing them down one by one. And as well, we're confronting the threat of outlaw regimes who seek weapons of mass destruction. Different circumstances require different strategies, from the pressure of diplomacy to the prospect of force. Yet in every case, the resolve of our nation is the same. We must and we will protect the American people and our friends and allies from catastrophic violence, wherever the source, whatever the threat. In the case of North Korea, the world must continue to speak with one voice to turn that regime away from its nuclear ambitions. In the case of Iraq, the world has already spoken with one voice. The Iraqi regime has a duty under Security Council resolutions to declare and destroy all of its weapons of mass destruction. That's what the world has said. That's what the United States expects from Saddam Hussein. The Iraqi regime is a grave threat to the United States. The Iraqi regime is a threat to any American and to threats who are friends of America. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, the leader in Iraq has publicly proclaimed his hatred for our country and what we stand for. The Iraqi regime has a record of torturing their own people, a brutal record, and a record of reckless aggression against those in their neighborhood. The Iraqi regime has used weapons of mass destruction. They not only had weapons of mass destruction, they used weapons of mass destruction. They used weapons of mass destruction on people in other countries. They have used weapons of mass destruction on their own people. That's why I say Iraq is a threat, a real threat. 4 years ago, UN inspectors concluded that Iraq had failed to account for large stockpiles of chemical and biological weapons, weapons capable of killing millions. In last month's declaration, Iraq again failed to account for those weapons. The Iraqi dictator did not even attempt to submit a credible declaration. We can now be certain that he holds the United Nations and the UN Security Council and its resolutions in contempt. He really doesn't care about the opinion of mankind. Saddam Hussein was given a path to peace. Thus far, he has chosen the path of defiance. The fate of the Iraqi regime is being determined by its own decisions. Saddam Hussein knows precisely what he can and must do to avoid conflict. We have made that clear. The world has spoken with one voice. And even now he could end his defiance and dramatically change directions. He has that choice to make. We certainly prefer voluntary compliance by Iraq. You see, the use of military force is this nation's last option, his last choice. Yet if force becomes necessary to disarm Iraq of weapons of mass destruction and enforce the will of the United Nations, if force becomes necessary to secure our country and to keep the peace, America will act deliberately America will act decisively. And America will prevail because we've got the finest military in the world. We are ready. We're prepared. And should the United States be compelled to act, our troops will be acting in the finest traditions of America. Should we be forced to act? Should Saddam Hussein seal his fate by refusing to disarm, by ignoring the opinion of the world, you'll be fighting not to conquer anybody, but to liberate people. See, we believe in freedom. No matter what their oppressors may say, the people of Iraq have no love for tyranny. Like all human beings, they desire and they deserve to live in liberty and to live in dignity. America seeks more than the defeat of terror. We seek the advance of human freedom in a world at peace. That is the charge history has given us, and that is the charge we will keep. In crucial hours, the success of our cause will depend upon you. As members of our military, you serve this nation's ideals, and you demonstrate those ideals in your code and in your character. As Commander-in-Chief, I have come to know the men and women who wear America's uniform. I have seen your love of country and your devotion to a cause larger than yourself. I have seen your discipline, your idealism, and your sense of honor. I know that every order I give can bring a cost. I also know without a doubt that every order I give will be carried out with skill and unselfish courage. Some crucial hours may lie ahead. We know the challenges and the dangers we face. Yet this generation of Americans is ready. We accept the burden of leadership. We act in the cause of peace and freedom, and in that cause, we will prevail. Thank you for your service. May God bless you, may God bless your families, and may God bless America.
The President of the United States at Fort Hood, Texas, who seemed to get a little choked up at the end of his talk there before tens of thousands of troops at the largest military base in the United States, recognizing that many of them may soon be going off to war. He said of the U.S. military, we are ready, and that the military is being called into action to defend America and the cause of freedom. The president also called the enemy a bunch of cold-blooded killers, and he said that's the way we're going to treat them. They will be stopped, and the members there, at least the ones we heard, were cheering for that sentiment. We want to talk more about Fort Hood, and we want to talk about the role we want to go, unfortunately, we're going to take a quick break from this. We'll be back and talk more about the president today. But let's go to the courtroom in California for the sentencing at David Westerfield. He, of course, was convicted of killing Danielle Van Dam. And this is Danielle's father, Damon.
She's such a smart, independent person. I'll miss seeing her go to the prom. She would have had so much fun getting ready for the big date. I'll miss her graduation. It most likely would have been with honors. She was a hard worker. I'll miss seeing her go off to college, and I'll wonder what she would have become. She often talked about being a veterinarian or a dentist. I'll miss seeing her on her wedding day. I won't get to walk her down the aisle. I'll miss seeing her become a mom. She's such a good... I know she would have been a great mom. As the years pass and all these things don't happen, all I'll have are the memories of her, helped by some old pictures and videos and dreams of her, which I hope are always as vivid as they are now. And having to know how brutal the last hours of her life were. My heart and my wife's heart have been broken, and my other 2 children have been deeply hurt. I asked them about Danielle, and here's what they told me. Derek's her older brother. Derek said, we had a lot of fun playing together, playing board games and video games. She was a good little sister because whenever I wanted to play with her, she was there to play with me. And Dylan said, Danielle is gone, and I miss her because we used to play games together. It was fun playing with her because she was nice. She would not push and shove. She would always tell me she loved me very much. It's too soon to measure the full impact of Danielle's abduction and murder on our lives, on their lives. But we know we have a hole in our hearts that will never heal, and we will miss her for the rest of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Brenda would now like to address the court.
All right.
Okay. In early November, I started wondering about how I was going to get through the holidays. And I wanted to think of some things I had to be thankful for. And even though I went through this horrible year, I am so thankful to have been blessed with Danielle, and I thank God every day that I had 7 years with her. And she was such a wonderful, loving child. And I am so thankful for my other 2 beautiful children, whom I love and adore, and my wonderful husband, who has been by my side through this entire ordeal. I am thankful for a very supportive family and friends, people I didn't even know before Danielle was taken, who have become very dear to my heart. I am thankful for a jury, a dedicated jury, a very intelligent jury who's not only intelligent, but they're not blind. They saw through all the smoke fields that fell through in front of them, and they sought the truth. And they need to be commended for that. Most of all, I'm thankful for the justice system, because the justice system is what put him where he belongs. And I'm thankful to all the men and women who work so dedicated to getting all the evidence done in time to make sure that he was put in his proper place. Now I have my statement. How can I as a mother find words, meaningful words, that would express how this unthinkable crime has affected my family? I can't. Her father can't. Her brothers can't. Yet this is where our family finds ourselves, in a courtroom, standing across from the man who murdered our precious daughter and who greedily stole the heart out of our family. Our lives are forever changed. Nothing can be the way it was before February 2nd, 2002. I guarantee you, no matter how hard I try, I will not be able to explain to you what it would feel like if this had happened to your own daughter. Even though it happened to mine, the pain runs so deep you can't reach it to stop it, and the missing never ends. The tears are always one memory away. But I can tell you how it felt to not know where Danielle was for 26 terrifying days. To know that someone else knew where she was, and it was not her mommy or her daddy, but an evil stranger. It was sickening. And I felt like my heart was breaking in two and I was dying from the inside. Our precious Danielle was taken by a monster, seeking only self-gratification and not thinking about the sweet little child that he was harming, or how his horrific crime would impact her family, the community, and the world. You sat by smugly as thousands of people frantically searched for Danielle, and her family anguished over finding her. It disgusts me that your sick fantasies and your pitiful needs made you feel that you needed Danielle more than her family. You put your needs over the needs of her entire family, an entire community, an entire nation to find Danielle. What could make one human being murder another? This is a question I will forever ask myself. I remember the day Danielle was born. I was so excited to have been given one of the most precious gifts you could receive, another life. Being blessed with a little girl was so very special, and Danielle and I had a special bond. We enjoyed doing many things together. She was a real girly girl. We enjoyed painting our nails together, and I really enjoyed doing her hair. Shopping for girls' clothes was such a joy. Some of the most precious moments spent with her were in the kitchen. She always wanted to cook, and although cooking alone would have been easier, I couldn't say no because I realized that she would only be this age once, and the memories would last a lifetime. As Danielle grew older and blossomed into a wonderful little girl, I knew she was a shining star. But I did not, for a second, think that she would be remembered for something like this. She was a beautiful girl with a very kind, loving heart. And one of her favorite things to do during the holidays was to pick an angel off of the tree and go shopping for that special person who did not have as much as she did. She truly understood that not every child had a life as wonderful as hers. She loved being with her friends, school, taking dance lessons, piano lessons, and writing in her journal. About 3 weeks ago, I got the urge to look through some of her journals and other items in her room. I sobbed when I read the following journal entry. Through her own private thoughts, let me introduce you to our innocent and loving little girl who always thought of others. I like to be nice to all people at school. It makes them feel great, and I know that it is cool to be thoughtful of others. I look at them when they speak to me, and I listen to be fair because I want to be treated that way. I have always told all of my children to treat others as they would want to be treated. She just wanted to be liked and loved by everyone, and when I read this journal entry, I felt that even though I do not get to teach her anything else in her short-lived life, I did teach her a very important life lesson, being respectful of others. Danielle loved spending time with her brothers. I can remember how Derek, Danielle, and Dylan would play so well together. Playing school was one of her favorite games. Of course, she always wanted to be the teacher. She enjoyed being a big sister to Dylan and teaching him things. She really enjoyed reading to him. It made her feel grown up. She looked up to her big brother Derek and knew that she was different than he was. She really had to study hard to do well in school, and this is something that comes easy to Derek. She was very willing to study hard because she wanted to do as well as him in school. One night as I laid awake in bed, I could hear Derek and Dylan talking. They now sleep in the same room because they think they can protect each other. They were talking about creating an army of robots that would make the world a safe place. These are comments from two innocent children who miss their sister dearly. Not only have you taken one of the 3 most precious gifts I have ever received in life, but you have also taken away a sister from Derek and Dylan and the sense of safety that they once took for granted. I ask you, why did you not let her go? Why didn't you drop her off in a safe place? If you had done so, she would be with her family now and you would not be facing death. What were you thinking as you killed her? Did she not touch your heart one bit? If not, you are heartless. You are an empty shell. You are nothing. If she did, reclaim some decency and apologize to her brothers, her parents, and your own children and this community. This should not be happening to our children. Our children should be able to be innocent children and safe in our community and our world. When you took Danielle from us, you took away all of our future dreams that we looked forward to sharing with her. If you do have a heart, which I think is very unlikely, you will feel some of this pain soon because you have a daughter of your own. You will miss all of the good times in her life. You have victimized your own children just because you wanted mine. Although your children may try to move and change their names, they will always live with the fact that their father is a cold-blooded killer. Danielle was not an object to be taken. She was a human being to be lovingly cared for by her parents. You do not deserve any leniency, any mercy, because you refused to give it to Danielle. You have to live with the memory of her death. I will cherish the memory of her life.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Dusick?
Just briefly, to make sure we understand one thing, the defendant gets no benefit, or should get no benefit, for demanding a speedy trial. He was not trying to save the community, the system, or anybody any anguish. He was trying to beat a murder charge. That's why he rushed to trial. There are many things that we will never know in this case. Why that child? Why that night? How did he really do it? When did he do it? But we will know one thing for certain, that he did it, and he deserves the death penalty. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Westerfield, is there anything you'd like to say, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. The court having ruled on the mandatory motion to set aside the jury's verdict, it is the judgment and sentence of the court, Mr. Westerfield, that for the crime of murder in the first degree, committed under the special circumstance that the murder was committed during the course and scope of a kidnapping, that you shall be put to death within the walls of the California State Prison at San Quentin in the manner prescribed by law upon a date to be fixed by this court in a warrant of execution. This is all as to count 1, with the allegation being found true by the jury. As to count 2, the sentence for kidnapping, the court concurs in the probation officer's analysis that this is an aggravated term based on the extremely cruel and vicious nature of the crime, and it shows without doubt that this defendant has a violent propensity to commit crimes in our community. As a result, the court sets the term of 11 years. The entire term will be stayed pursuant to 654 of the Penal Code, inasmuch as this is the special circumstance finding as well. As to the misdemeanor count 3, the sentence of the court is that probation be denied and he be sentenced to credit for time served, which is in the amount of 316 days. He's entitled to 316 days credit. As far as fines are concerned, the bottom line is very simple, and that is that the court makes a lot of rulings that occasionally have no benefit or value. I'm probably making them right now, but I'm going to go along with what counsel have indicated. I'll set the fine as the maximum fine, the amount of $10,000. As far as restitution is concerned, based on the probation officer's analysis, to the family of Danielle, namely Mr. and Mrs. Van Dam, the court will set restitution in the amount of $81,571.36. For repayment to the State Restitution Crime Victims Board, the court sets the amount of $8,556.54.
Sorry, Your Honor, there's an updated amount on that.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have it.
That would be $9,703.69.
Okay, that's in the materials that we're talking about then. All right, as to the Crime Victims Restitution Fund, then the amount will be set in the amount of $9,703.69. Both amounts will be subject to...
They're going to continue with some
further,
procedural matters, but the bottom line, David Westerfield sentenced to death for the murder of 7-year-old Danielle Van Dam, a murder that the judge called extremely cruel and vicious in nature, and he will go to San Quentin to face his sentence. Joining us now from San Diego is Mark Carlos, a San Diego area criminal defense attorney who has been following this case from the very beginning. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
No real surprise here, is there? Once the jury recommended that the death penalty be imposed, it would have been extraordinary for the judge to go with life in prison without parole, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah, it would have. He'd have to find that the mitigating factors outweigh the aggravating factors. And in this particular case, as we saw from Miss Van Dam testifying or making a statement, it's very, very difficult. I mean, the nature of the crime, the circumstances surrounding the taking of her daughter were all things that weighed so heavily that the judge wouldn't, make that leap.
Even if he was considering whether or not he should make the judgment another way. When you sit and you listen to David Van Dam talking about the fact that he'll never be able to walk his daughter down the aisle, and listen to Brenda Van Dam reading from a little girl's diary and talking about her sons and directly addressing her daughter's killer, I don't know how anyone in the courtroom can sit unmoved.
Right, and that's the most devastating part of this type of case is victim impact evidence. It was allowed in the actual penalty phase of this case, and once again during sentencing. And you can't, I mean, there's no way that you can possibly put that aside. I mean, and what she said was right. I mean, why did he? She wants to know, why did he have to kill her? I mean, he could have let her go. He could, sure, he could have done some crime to her, but he didn't have to kill her, and that was, I think, what swayed the judge, among other things, to impose the death penalty.
Would you have been stunned had David Westerfield taken the opportunity the judge offered him to make any kind of statement?
It's very difficult. He has an automatic right to appeal, and had he got up and said, I'm sorry for killing your daughter, then he would have basically potentially blown opportunities on appeal. He's already made, there was an article in the paper, San Diego Tribune today, where he's made comments to other friends and actually wrote cards to supporters indicating that he was professing his innocence to this date and will continue to profess his innocence. So the appeal is a major part of this case, and he's going to stick to his guns that he didn't have anything to do with the death of Danielle Van Dam.
What do you see as grounds for appeal? Where do you think his attorneys will go?
Well, it depends on what attorneys he gets. Part of appeals in California is the actual performance of the attorney. So if he gets new attorneys for appeal, which he probably will because he's exhausted all his funds for private representation, so he'll get appointed a new lawyer who will look at everything that his lawyers did in this case to determine, whether they were in fact competent and what they did was right. In addition to that, there are several evidentiary things in this case. The admission of thousands and thousands of pornographic images to the jury was a big part of the case in chief, and that's something that we'll look at seriously on appeal.
Brenda Van Dam has been asked many times whether she thought the death penalty was appropriate, and she has always sort of said that that was irrelevant as long as he can't hurt another child, that whether it was the death penalty or life in prison without parole, she just wanted to make sure he didn't have the opportunity to have a life anymore. She also suggested this morning on the Today Show that it might not matter because the appeals process is so slow that he may die in prison anyway, even if the death sentence is imposed, which of course it was. Is it that slow in California?
Well, generally speaking, anywhere between 8 to 12 years. Yeah, it takes a long time. It's because California takes the death penalty very seriously, and it should be taken seriously to make sure that everything is done correctly and he's given the right to a fair trial. So the appeals process takes some time. They get appointed lawyers on appeal that can look through everything. And you got to think about pouring through thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of transcripts and evidence before they even get to writing the appeal. So that's why it does take so long. But during that time, he will be on death row, and it is not a very pleasant place to be on San Quentin on death row, waiting for your death sentence to be carried out, and with no possibility of parole. It's something that he's going to have to live with. So it's not like he's getting a free walk waiting for the 12 years for his death penalty to be
Let me ask you very briefly, Mark, something the judge said at the end when he was talking about fines and so on. He said restitution to the family of Danielle Van Dam, $81,000 and change, and I'm sure some people who were watching sat back and said, how do you give restitution for a child who's been murdered? What is that all about?
Well, there's fines that go to the victim's restitution fund. It's all part of criminal practice in California. They levy the fines. Whether or not he can pay them are two different issues. A lot of times they take him out of the prison earnings, but if he's on death row, it's not like he's going to be working and be able to make anything. But it's just a fine that's imposed. It's sort of pro forma. It's not like the Van Dams are going to get any money from Mr. Westerfield. They've already instituted a civil suit to try to attach any type of royalties he makes from his inventions, possibly any type of books or anything that, even though he can't by law do anything, maybe later that law will change and he'll be able to make some money off his story. This lawsuit will make sure that he won't be able to.
Mark Carlos from San Diego, criminal defense attorney. Thank you for your insights and your expertise. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's now 35 minutes after the hour. President George W. Bush about to have lunch with the troops at Fort Hood, Texas, after addressing them today, and potentially he will send them off to war against Iraq. We're going to talk more about that, what the folks at Fort Hood might contribute to a war. You're watching America's News Channel. MSNBC.
Out and reduce those dangerous deposits, making your next fire safer. It's so easy. Burn just once every 60 fires. CSL, the chimney sweeping log.
CSL's available at Fred Meyer, High School Pharmacy, Rose Hours, and Rite Aid.
Exceptional paintings, extraordinary savings. This Sunday, Collector's Art will sell out thousands of quality oil paintings at $59 or less. Imagine, only $59, plus a huge variety of gallery quality oils, from classic florals full of rich color to renditions of old masters, and all will be sold at a fraction of their retail value. Don't miss Collector's Art this Sunday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Beaverton at the Greenwood Inn, at Jansen Beach at the Doubletree Jansen Beach, in Clackamas at the Monarch Hotel, and in Salem at the Red Lion.